Jumbo, fellow adventurers, Mike Dooley, time for a spiritual tune-up. And boy, do we have a juicy one today about suffering. Thanks for the great questions. All of you, please post below on Facebook and Instagram. To sum up the question, Mike, is suffering by design or accident? The long version. Why do we have to be broken to be whole? Why did we have to fall to rise again? What is the point of suffering? Why couldn't it be avoided in God's kingdom? Was God in such a hurry that she made a mistake? It seems mistakes are beyond beyond possibility. So what would explain the presence in a divinely ordered universe for human suffering? I'm going to give you some short insights, and then I'm going to go on a deep dive. Okay, and to give more context to this question, for those of you who have done any reading whatsoever on the life of Buddha, Buddha's path was a recognition, now this is per Buddha's perspective, a recognition that all people and all of life is about suffering. And it is through suffering, implied by design, that we seek to find peace, resolution, and are ultimately able to rise to our ultimate existence, which many would point out, since we came from our ultimate existence, from the mind and the heart of God, why would we go down to go back up? What's the whole point of that? Awesome question. I would like to point out that in the evolution of consciousness, things during Buddha's lifetime, life on earth during Buddha's existence, I don't even know when, 1,000 years ago, 800, 2,000, the time of Christ, these were really dark ages on planet Earth. Far fewer comforts than we know today. And so I can empathize from the eyes of Buddha. It must look like life is nothing but suffering. And I trust most watching right now realize that even when you're suffering these days, in most quarters or many quarters of the world, it's still pretty cushy. You still got internet and a phone and somewhere to go and food to eat. Things are getting pretty tricky right now. The food banks are all, having a lot of trouble. And that's a whole nother segment because of the confusion in 2020 and the pandemic and inequality, but that's a tangent. Basically, things are much better now than they were during the time of Buddha. I do not view life as pure suffering as it perhaps appeared way back then. It's all relative, but Buddha found his way. So let me ask, or let me suggest that the answer is not by design. This is still the short answer. The existence of suffering is through ignorance, and it is not something we must go through. And if we tuned into our natural state, I hold fast to, we would automatically be in a place of comfort, virtually spontaneous manifestations, ease, whatever you need. You'd always have a path. You'd be plugged into divine mind through intuition, and life would be a piece of cake. Okay, so it's our choice to deny ourselves our godhood status, if you will, that makes us move into realms where there is indeed great suffering and sorrow. Not by design, not a mistake, but yet it exists. Now, how could it exist and why does it exist in God's paradise? I would wholeheartedly suggest it was anticipated. The degree to which was unknown. But remember, this is a holographic universe, so nothing that can happen here in terms of unpleasant circumstances is real. Nothing takes away. Everything adds. And if you will, in that light, which is truth, you would suddenly see our immersion into the illusions is pure adventure. It is pure adventure. And win or lose, by the time the game's over, you actually win, like a video game, right? You're going to be more for the experience, although going through it, it can seem like hell. A Note from the Universe once spoke to this. It asked the question, do you know what's better by 1,000,000 times than getting to the top of the mountain? The top of the mountain being metaphoric for, la la land, rainbows and unicorns, peace, good vibrations, financial opulence, love, love, love everywhere. Do you know what's 1,000,000, billion, trillion times better than getting to the top of the mountain? Getting there after first being so utterly, totally lost. You were pretty convinced it would never happen. Never happen. But yet it did. That would be better than the escalator ride. That would be better than start down here and it's an automatic. Within 42 lifetimes, you'll be at the top. And every lifetime you get a little closer and it gets a little more exciting, like a Friday before the weekend. It would be better once you get there to have been so lost you would thought you never would get there. That would be the ultimate victory, the ultimate glory. And then you realize that no matter what happened in the journey, even if you fell off of a cliff and smashed and broke all of your bones and never made it to the top in that try, you'd wake up still in the palm of God's hand and you'd be like, I thought that was so real. I was almost there, but then I didn't believe in myself. Let me try again. It's like we're in a realm where everything makes you more, nothing makes you less. And suffering is the byproduct of ignorance. The more we resist, the more trouble we have. So do you see how this is kind of painting a picture? Now here's the big question, and now we're about to go on a deep dive. The question still remains. If you were already up there, why go down? Well, I think that first light answer, for the hell of it, for the adventure of it, because you're safe, because it'll make you more. I mean, you could speculate forever what a journey might be like, or the highs and the lows of a human life, forgetting that you're really everywhere, always at once, but you'll never know until you take the plunge. So why not take the plunge just for the yuck of it, since it's only going to add to who you are? Go to the movies. You might love it, you might hate it, but no matter what, you're going to grow from it. Even though, okay, so I know that you could still argue that, well, still, I'd rather just be in this total all-knowing, everywhere, always at once. I think you'd be bored spitless, but you can do that. I think the adventure angle in a holographic world where the blood may as well be fake is enough to get you where you want to go. But now the deeper dive. Okay, now this is all just warm up. It's a great question. Chronicled in many books, including one of my own, no doubt inspired by the Seth material or some of the books that have blown my mind that I recommend at tut.com in resources. That list of 15 books is there. And further subordinated by a new book I've read by Ken Carey, The Third Millennium. Holy mackerel, go get that book. The Third Millennium, Ken Carey, Carey. All of these, as my own book, as Ken Carey said, all of these say the same thing. God is everywhere, always at once. It is the supreme, it is the ultimate, it is pure, radiant love, ecstasy, and endlessly creating. And God created, if you will, this physical universe that was kind of, in a sense, intertwined, symbiotic, quarks, atoms, molecules, mathematics, science, just splendor and beauty and colors. And instead of being everywhere always at once, you fleetingly believe in here versus there, now versus then, and suddenly there's this realm within a realm, but yet God was on the outside looking in. And while I used to think this was just a kind of a simplified metaphor, the more I realize it is actually the case, that literally there was this realm, but it was as if God was on the outside looking in at this spectacular universe, rainbows, butterflies, everything. It was just like, oh my gosh. And the only way God could experience it in a way that had never been experienced before was to kind of extract a teeny piece of herself and inject it, if you will, into the illusions. But the whole process of making that possible so that they could be experienced from the inside out would mean a tiny little body with a tiny little brain and an absolute amnesia of who you really are, how you got there, why you got there, but yet with enough brilliance and your own creative divine powers that if you could just go on trust and just go on faith, you would be able to command the legions and have nature bow to your needs, and whatever you wanted could be literally brought to you with a thought away, or perhaps through the most simple logistics, bringing time, space, and matter to you. You would attract it. Law of attraction. Thoughts become things. You might not be spontaneously manifesting whatever you wanted, but you could have nature bow to you so that as you showed up with baby steps, there would be serendipities, coincidences, and accidents yielding whatever you had thought about, whatever you needed, even before you put it into words. If, big if you could be fully tuned in and aware that you are pure God, of God, by God, there as an emissary for the fun of it, for the love of it, for the joy of it, trusting all else as well. Because in your little brain, you're never going to be able to comprehend your little corner of the cosmos, much less the entire cosmos. But through will and understanding, and hence religion's use of trust and faith, you could command legions in the unseen to do your bidding. So here's what I got from Ken Carey. We take this plunge. We go into the jungles of time and space. And getting there, we have to go through this kind of amnesia so that we can be fully alive in the illusions. We are now blending. God has created this blend of matter and spirit. How? Biology. That's what biology is. Biology is this unbelievable concoction of matter come alive that self-replicates through cells, that grows all automatically. We don't have to think about it, nor do we have to think about our manifestations, except we let our ego get in the way. So God comes alive in these jungles of time and space, forgets who he or she really is. Now matter is replicating matter, and what I got from Ken Carey is that when you create an offspring of yourself, it's just another part of you, similar to human beings having children, suddenly there's this new entity, which is just another part of you, but there's this new entity that has a will of its own, that has desires of its own, that has dreams of its own. And you're like, now wait a minute. You stay connected to me and have trust, and I will be able to live through you, and you can live with me in this bastion of perfection floating through the cosmos, and we are going to create and love and be loved and serve and thrive in ways your little brain can't imagine. But now that you've got your little brain and you're here, you're like, wow, it's so beautiful. And there's coffee and there's beer and there's friends and there's laughter and there's high and there's low. And you're like, no, I got this. I got this. Ooh, ow, that hurts. I'm suffering. I'm hungry. I thought I got it. Oh, and our little peephole into the universe becomes our personality, becomes filtered by our beliefs, supportive and limiting. And suddenly we have this adventure because we demanded that we do it ourselves because we love it so much that we've kind of created a wall, barrier between divine mind who loves and dotes on us and all the angels that are here to support us. And now we're totally going it alone. And we're so mesmerized by the beauty and so in awe of our own power that we further cling to our own private identity and not realize this stream of consciousness, this source that is making it all possible. We're claiming it all as our own. And so we get further and further lost. But again, what I wanted to say earlier, even in the throes of being lost, and even in the throes of true suffering, there's a beauty. There's such a beauty. There's such a romance. to life on earth and being in these sacred jungles of time and space. And even when we're lost, we feel love. And even when we're lost, we're in love. And again, remember what I said in the outset. When the whole thing is done, it's like waking up from a dream. Nothing was lost. It was just make-believe circumstances. Like, oh, I thought that was real. Oh, I thought that defined me. Oh, I thought I was less. Oh, I thought I got more. Oh, I thought they took advantage of me. No, here I am in the palm of God's hand, in the heart of God. And I love my life, and I've been added to, and I never really left. So it's not like, oh, you come here and it's really all that bad, and you can really get knocked down, and you might return battered. There are other parts of you. The rest of the universe is another part of you. Those who in heaven are another part of you. The angels are another part of you. So we take this little glimmering of ourselves and we think we are it. And we say, oh, this is bad, and oh, it's not good, and why would I want to suffer? It's like we're not seeing the whole picture. This is a lot to bite off. This is not an easy answer. I've already gone to 16 minutes. I could go on for 16 days on this topic. I wish I could share more. I hope I hit a couple of chords and made a few points here. It is also beautiful. Even in our suffering, it is beautiful. We're always made more by the experience. And as soon as we wake up and move into a realm of self-realization, being enlightened, knowing the truth and only the truth, here's the payoff. Here's the top of the mountain. Ecstasy, bliss, completely untouchable by suffering. Nothing could ever upset you. Nothing. Chop off my arm, nothing. Everything is easy. I'm not vulnerable. I'm a gladiator of eternity. And yes, I want to help other people, and I want to mitigate their suffering, because together when we all get here, and this is another part of the equation that was left out, you can't, I can't, we cannot even imagine the glory, the magnificence, the beauty, the happy tears, the happy dancing, the camaraderie, the support that is everywhere. But we will get there inside of the illusions, inside of time and space, and know these feelings just as they are now outside of the illusions from which we came. And then the circle will be complete. Then the mission will be accomplished. Then there'll be so much more to explore. And so now, brothers and sisters, we're in the infancy. We're caveman, we're cavewoman. We are in the dark ages, spiritually speaking, when we don't even realize that we're divine. We're starting to get a hint of it. You're starting to know that. It was always there all along. You always had it. And now you're asking big questions. You're finding the answers. The truth is everywhere. Learn to trust. Have faith. Thy will shall be done. Stop struggling. Stop resisting. Stop denying. Let it be easy. Rise to the service. This is what awaits all of us. Total mastery over the illusions while we're alive. Heaven on earth. All right. Another tangent. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for the interaction, the waves, the sharing, the stars, the hearts. It makes all the difference in the world. I'll be here tomorrow morning. What day is it? Where am I? I forget. It's also good. Thank you, Mary Ellen, Mary Ann, Madeline, and on Instagram, Marcia, Mike, Fine, Focus, Free, Shadows, Marie. All right. I hope I did it justice. That was a tricky one. Tally ho, amigos.